Hello once again, and welcome to another edition of Sportsbook Confidential. My name is John Sullivan, and I'm coming to you live from the FingerLakes1.com studios in Seneca Falls, New York. And this little show here is to help you learn and grow as a sports bettor. And we're reached that time of year again. We're 8 weeks out from the NFL season, so I am going to spend the next 8 episodes previewing all of the divisions in the top professional football league. Today we're going to start with the NFC West, and it's kind of a light weekend in sports betting for me. Wimbledon's going on. There's golf tournaments going on. However, there's not much. The NBA is still going on. I'm not a big follower of the NBA, but hockey's over. Baseball's at the All-Star break. And after this Euro soccer tournament is over, there's really no soccer for a week or so in the MLS, and then not till next month with the English Premier League. So we do have the soccer tournament final this weekend and a NASCAR race, which I'll talk about. But this time of year, it gets a little slower. A lot of people that I know that bet quite a bit don't like to bet baseball after the All-Star break. They find it difficult. Just the season is a big grind, and I can understand where that comes from. There's been somewhat of an evolution in the sport, the Moneyball evolution, if you will, where teams are all about home runs and walks, and there's no bunting anymore, and there's pitching staffs are very different, and things like that. We have openers instead of closers in the pitching department, and I'm going to focus on football this year, as I usually do. Football is my favorite season, so we're going to get started on that. But before we get there, let's do what we always do and update my bankroll. And as you can see, we had a pretty darn good week. We had Switzerland and Spain, a draw, plus 285. That game went to penalty kicks. Of course, in soccer, it's a three-way market. So you have one team to win in regulation, another team to win in regulation, or a draw. And once it goes into extra time, the draw is a winner. So that was plus $23 to the bankroll. And then we had the Czech Republic to advance, and they lost. I thought they played okay, but they got behind and chased the game. We had the Lightning minus 1.5 last Friday. That was a winner at plus 205. That's plus $17 to the bankroll. And then we had Chase Elliott to win, and he basically ran away with that race at Road America. It was crazy. They didn't even show him until the last lap because he was just so comfortably ahead. And I bet that at 250, and I'm pretty sure that he closed at plus 450. I don't know why. I have no idea why. He's clearly the best road racer in the NASCAR circuit, the regular in the NASCAR circuit. And I kind of wish I had a chance to go back and put more down on him, but he won easily. That's plus $20 to the bankroll. Then we have a pending future on Italy, who's playing Sunday to win the Euro 2020 at plus 370, and that's a pretty good number for us. So we'll see how that goes. But if you do the math, that is $52 to the bankroll. So our new bankroll is $285. And dividing by 30, as we always do, that makes our new bet size going forward $9 a wager. So moving in the right direction as we get closer to football season. We'll see if we can't pick it up a bit. So let's move on to our football preview. And this week you're going to start with the NFC West, of course, which comprised of the Arizona Cardinals, the Los Angeles Rams, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Seattle Seahawks, if you're not familiar with the divisions in the NFL. And we're going to go through each team one by one. Let's see what we got here. We're going to start with Arizona. I guess we're doing it alphabetically here. So the odds I pulled from Pinnacle this morning, they may vary at your local sports book, so take that with a grain of salt. But just to give you an idea of where these odds stand. Arizona to win the division, they're actually the long shot at 576. And, basically under 6-1 to win the division for the worst team in the league. That tells you right away that the division is very competitive. To win the NFC, we have them about 18.5 to 1. And to win the Super Bowl, about 43.5 to 1. And I've thrown out the players in the skill positions to give you fantasy geeks a chance to see who's where. Obviously, trades can happen, players can be cut and picked up. But here's where we stand today. And you can see Kyler Murray is the quarterback. He's been a great fantasy producer. He did have a couple of injuries throughout his first 2 years, some leg injuries, and you wonder if he can stay healthy in this, very difficult division. So you've got Chase Edwards is projected to be the feature back, and from what I understand, that he's going to get the majority of the touches. And James Conner comes over from the Pittsburgh Steelers at 29 years old. Does he still have the legs to keep it going? I would think that he is definitely going to see some run. And we have DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, and A.J. Green as the top 3 wide receivers. No Larry Fitzgerald on the roster at the moment. I assume that he's retired for good. You never know. He may change his mind and come back. Max Williams is the tight end. Matt Prater is one of the best kickers in the league. I put that, I like to put the kickers up because, if you're playing in a tough division with a lot of close games, that's your bread and butter right there. Who's going to win you the game with their kicks? And, of course, he plays in a very, that stadium is very controlled environment. So it turns out that all 4 of these teams are throwing out a 3-4 defense in today's preview. Of course, J.J. Watt signed with Arizona in the offseason. That's one of their big free agent pickups next to A.J. Green. Budda Baker has COVID, which could be a factor because they are very light at defensive back. And the bottom line here is, can the defense improve? This team has been in too many shootouts. In a way, their offensive scheme is to force other teams out of their game plans. They want to score quickly and score lots of points. However, they have found themselves coming from behind. Of course, for us Bills fans, remember the Hail Murray last year, which was kind of a back-and-forth game, but obviously the Cardinals came from behind at the last play of the game. So can this defense control tempo when it wants to? It may want to force, their opponents into more passing and less rushing. However, what needs to be seen is, can this team get ahead by 2+ scores, and can it maintain a 2+ score lead, which has seemed to be the fallacy of the Cliff Kingsbury coaching style. There really hasn't been that many. I mean, I remember, I think the first week of last season against the Lions, they were up by 25-8 or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but the defense definitely needs to show a little more, and hopefully J.J. Watt can bring some of that either through his leadership or through his actual on-the-field play. So Arizona is in the basement, according to the odds makers, but this division is really, really tough. I think it's the best division in football, top to bottom. People may disagree, but any one of these teams could end up in a playoff spot. Moving on to the Rams, and the Rams are actually the favorite to win the division at plus 172. Another factor showing you how high those odds are for the favorite also means this division is extremely competitive. Where in another division, say like the NFC East, the Cowboys are probably minus 150 to win the division. So I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but I'm sure it's probably a minus number. To win the NFC, plus 569, they're the second favorite behind Tampa Bay. And to win the Super Bowl, plus 1418, that's about right. 14 to 1 is where I've seen it at other places. Of course, the big news in the offseason is Matt Stafford comes to L.A., Jared Goff goes to Detroit. Matt Stafford has battled injuries and COVID in the last couple of years. His durability is a big question mark. I'm not questioning his toughness. He's a tough cookie, and he's played through a lot of injuries. I'm just concerned at his age, if he's out for an extended period of time, that could totally derail the Rams season. So I think somebody named John Wolford is the backup in LA. Forgive me if I butchered his name, but at this point doesn't inspire a lot of confidence if he has to go for 3 or 4 game stretch. Cam Akers again was with Malcolm Brown last year. Cam Akers expected to be the feature back. Darrell Henderson is going to be the number 2 guy in the goal line back. Malcolm Brown is not coming back to the Rams. You have Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and Deshaun Jackson, the hired gun, has gone from Tampa Bay to Philly to Washington to Philly, now to L.A. A good target for Matthew Stafford to have. Hopefully he will be healthy. Cooper Kupp has had some knee. He had bursitis earlier last year, and now he's got some kind of skin condition on his knee. I don't know if it's going to affect his health going into this season, but losing any one of those 3 guys is going to be a blow to them. And Tyler Higbee is a tight end. This guy is a sleeper fantasy tight end. He is a tremendous pass catcher. If you need to go cheap in the tight end department, or you're going to wait till the later rounds to pick your tight end, this is a guy you want to look at. And if Matthew Stafford is really that much of an upgrade over Jared Goff, then Higbee is going to be one of the huge beneficiaries of that upgrade. So keep that in mind. Austin McGinnis is the kicker. I don't have an opinion either way on him. We'll just have to see, how he does in the pressure cooker. No depth on the left offensive line. You just got the 2 starters and nobody to back them up. And obviously there's depth pieces in the offensive line, but on the depth chart there's no backups. The only reason this concerns me, of course, it's the blind side for a right-handed quarterback. Throwing with his right, his left is his back. That's where those injuries occur, and you need to be aware of that. 3-4 defense with Aaron Donald, the former Defensive Player of the Year. Still got it for sure. 2 of the 4 starting linebackers are dealing with injuries, and 4 of the 6 safeties on the roster are also dealing with injuries. Whether all those injuries are going to carry into week 1 of the season is yet to be determined. But, however, these are issues that means that there will be cornerbacks that have to move to safety, or they may change. They may go to a 4-3, or they may go to a kind of nickel package with 1 safety, and all of those things are changes that can be exploited by the other team's offenses. So you need to be aware of how this plays out as the season starts. And my takeaway from looking at the Rams is Ken McVay adjust in game. He plans extremely well, but he doesn't adapt. And this could not be more evident than in the Rams-Patriots Super Bowl, where the Patriots would show multiple looks to Jared Goff, and they didn't hurry up offense. They refused to change their game plan to what the defense threw at them, and they ended up losing the game. And this is something that has kind of followed McVay through the last couple of years. He has a system. He likes to stick to that system. He doesn't like to adapt. Will he be able to change? Will he be able to throw surprises in? I don't know. You can't argue with his success. He's had winning records. He's had playoff appearances. But he has not brought his team over the top yet. So moving on, we're going to go to the San Francisco 49ers. And this one stumps me a little bit. Of course, this team was really injured last year. To win division, they're the second favorite at plus 208. To win the NFC, they're right there with the Rams at plus 671. This blows my mind. I mean, it's tough it's going to be tough enough for them to win this division, much less the NFC. And to win the Super Bowl, 1473, about 14 to 15 to 1. I don't buy that at all. I put them at like 30 to 1, 25 to 1. I think that's fool's gold. I do think that, looking at this team on the offensive side, Jimmy G, a quarterback, I think he does get a bad rap. He signed a huge contract, then he got hurt, and now he's kind of back with the team somewhat intact. And if you look at his career stats, I think any quarterback, way better than an average NFL quarterback. He's not Mahomes. He's not Tom Brady. He's not Josh Allen. But he's a pretty darn good quarterback, and I feel like he gets a bad rap. We'll see how he does. Raheem Mostert is the lead back. Trey Sermon is the backup. This is a team that had, running back injuries, wide receiver injuries, tight end injuries. It was just a mess last year. Quarterback injuries. They're going to have to stay healthy to compete. This is just, Raheem Mostert's a good back. He's not, he's never been the guy, with, the max load carrier, if you put it that way. There's always been somebody to spell you in the 49ers rotation. So it'll be interesting to see how much run he gets. Kyle Juszczyk is one of the few full-time fullbacks in the National Football League. The offense runs through him per se, between the play action and the blocking, and it's very important for him to get involved in the offense. Occasional carries, wing and tight end blocking, things like that. And then you've got the wide receiver core. 3 or 4 of them are dealing with injuries. Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Richie James, and Jalen Hurd, not to be confused with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurd from Alabama, I believe. Again, this is one of those situations where we're 8 weeks away and their injuries may not carry over into the regular season. But will this team, as constituted, develop a passing game? People are concerned about Jimmy G and his ability to throw the ball. I think that's overblown. I think the bigger question is, who does he have to throw the ball to? Obviously, George Kittle is a premier tight end, one of the best, if not the best, tight end in the game. And with Juszczyk in the huddle, in the rotation, he does not have to concern himself with blocking as much. So that frees up Kittle to run more routes. And obviously, we will see if they are back on that level. Hopefully Kittle is healthy. Robbie Gould is the kicker, and he is reliable. I would say up to 45 yards. He does hit over 50s, but I feel like you're rolling the dice if you need him to make a 54-yarder to win a game. I don't like to see anybody miss, but there's not as much wind in Santa Clara as there was at the Candlestick Park years ago. Again, you've got no depth on the left offensive line for this team. Hopefully that does not affect Jimmy G. He's a lot younger than Matt Stafford. And again, we've got a 3-4 defense, and you've got the defensive ends, Nick Bosa and Dee Ford, dealing with injuries coming into the offseason. Very deep at linebacker and defensive back. And the big question for San Francisco is, can they compete on defense without Robert Saleh? Did I say that correctly? Who is now the head coach. He left as a defensive coordinator, is now the head coach of the New York Jets. So that's the big question. Can this team stay healthy on offense? Can this team compete on defense without their premier defensive coordinator? A lot of question marks for this team. I don't think they rate at the odds they're currently getting. That's just my opinion. That's why they play the games, as they say. So with that, let's go to Seattle Seahawks and round out the division. To win the division, plus 284. They're the third favorite. To win the NFC, plus 905. I think those are pretty good odds, actually, pretty juicy odds. To win the Super Bowl, 1755. I've seen them 25 to 1 at other shops. that just as little as a week ago. I don't know if they're still at 25-1, but when I reviewed the championship odds last week, I felt like that was a number that jumped out at me. This team has a legit shot to win this division and to go to a Super Bowl. Again, health has a lot to do with it. But Russell Wilson almost never misses a game. I don't know if he's missed any games in his career, to be honest with you. And you've got the three-headed monster of Chris Carson, Rashard Penny, and DJ Dallas as your running game. These guys will all get various degrees of touches. Dallas is more, you don't see him catch many passes. I'm surprised that they do not have they didn't go after a wide receiver. I think they were worried about, keeping Russell Wilson. During the offseason, a lot of people thought he was going to ask for a trade. But we've got DK Metcalf, who's a great receiver, Tyler Lockett, great receiver, great return man, and Dwayne Eskridge is their number 3. And they've got Gerald Everett and Will Dissly as their tight ends. If you watch a lot of Seahawks football, you'll see that Russell Wilson will go deep to the wide receivers, but when they're in the red zone, he will often go to the tight ends for red zone touches. So if you're looking for touchdowns on your fantasy team, you might want to look at one of those guys. Jason Myers is the kicker. I put him in kind of Robbie Gould territory. He plays in that windy stadium, CenturyLink Field, is it still called that? The starting left guard, Haynes, is injured. The only reason I bring that up is because there is no current backup on that side. Russell Wilson is very elusive. He knows how to avoid taking hits. His durability cannot be questioned. But having a really good offensive line is something that he really hasn't had since his last Super Bowl year. And is that step up coming? That's the question on the offensive side. On the defense, you've got, this is definitely kind of a no-name defense. The Legion of Boom is all gone. There's only one or two league-wide names on that defense, but they're healthy and deep going into this season. Whether it stays that way remains to be seen. But this team is a team on both sides of the ball that is very good at controlling tempo, and they like to go on the slower, more deliberate side. It seems like Seattle always has their big plays when they're doing that helter-skelter, come-from-behind mode where they know that they have to speed things up, and you're just kind of like, hey, why don't they do that all the time? That's kind of how the Buffalo Bills K-gun with Jim Kelly got started. They found they had success in hurry-up offense, and they just decided to do it all the time. Pete Carroll does not like that at all. He wants control over clock. He wants things to move slow. Will he eliminate the predictability of his offense? That is the big question coming into this year. I feel like they're one receiver away from really being able to open up the playbook and be totally unpredictable. And I feel like that would make their run game even stronger because most teams know that the Seahawks are going to establish the run until they're forced to throw the ball, and then they're going to start throwing the ball and let Russell Wilson do his magic. And if they have that misdirection earlier in the game, it might lead them to, a couple of scores ahead and be able to use that running game to control the second half of the tempo. So will Pete Carroll adapt? He does in-game. He makes in-game adjustments. But will his philosophy adapt? That is the question for the Seahawks. So overall, I would say this division is totally up for grabs, and it's very unlikely, this is a big point, very unlikely that any team from this division gets a bye in the NFC. They got to play each other twice, and the teams that made the playoffs last year are going to be playing good teams. The strength of schedule. So if you're looking for a team to put a future on, the only team in this division I like to put a future on is Seattle at 25-1 or better, if you can still find the 25-1. Other than that, most of these teams don't really rate for the odds they're getting, in my opinion. And that's what I think about the NFC West. You can agree or disagree. Things will obviously change before the season starts. But there's a good look at what you're up against if you're looking on betting teams in that division. So I hope you found that helpful. So let's wrap things up with a few sporting events. Let's go to the Euro 2020 final. This is Sunday at 3 o'clock. This is a soccer tournament they have every 4 years, and of course, they had to push it back because of COVID. And it's Italy versus England. I have the three-way market price up there. Italy is plus 200, England plus 165, and the draw is plus 200. The game is at Wembley Stadium in London. I did not, in my betting on the future on Italy that I have a pending future. I did not realize that the final was in London. I did feel like Italy and England were going to be the two last teams. But I got a good price on Italy, and I do think they're the better offensive team. And England is a very public team. And what I mean by public team is a team that the public bets on a lot. And compare them to the New York Yankees or the Dallas Cowboys, a team that its odds are always tweaked because the bookmakers know the public is going to bet on that team no matter what. So when the Yankees are good, they might be minus 200, on your model, but the bookmaker will price them at minus 250 because they're going to make all that public money coming in on the Yankees pay that extra vig because they know they're getting money on a very popular team. And I feel like these teams are close. Italy is the better offensive team. England is the better goalkeeper and the better defensive team. And as a matter of fact, if you did you can bet the three-way market, you can bet the two-way market, and you can also bet to win the trophy. If it goes to penalty kicks, who's going to win the trophy? And right now it's Italy plus 100, England minus 115. So it's very close, how close these teams are. But I feel like this game could easily be a 3-4 goal game. It could easily be 2-2. It could easily be 2-1. I feel like the over 2.5 is very possible, and it's plus 163. So make sure if you bet the over, whether it includes extra time or not. Make sure whether it's 90 minutes or not. But I think 2-1 is a very possible result here. I don't see any way this goes 0-0 for 90 minutes. There's just too much offense on the field. But I do like Italy. The higher scoring the game, the more I like Italy here. And I have Italy as a future, so it doesn't matter if they win in regulation or they win in penalty kicks. But I do like Italy in this game. And finally, we have the Quaker State 400 in Atlanta. And if you've been following NASCAR, you know that the Hendrick cars have been dominating. The Chevrolets have been dominating over the last 8, 9, 10 races. There has only been one non-Hendrick winner in the last 8 or 9 races, and that was Kyle Busch in a Toyota. However, at this racetrack, the Hendrick cars have done poorly. And the Fords have 4 of the last 4 races in Atlanta, the Fords have won 4 of them. Harvick twice, Keselowski and Blaney, the 2 Penske cars, have each won once. So you can see the odds here. Kyle Larson is plus 225, and then it goes Kyle Busch plus 700. So is this the week that a non-Chevrolet finally wins a race? A Ford Mustang wins a race instead of a Chevrolet. I think that this is a good week to bet on a Ford. I don't feel like Harvick is going to win this race. The Stewart cars have been a step behind all season. I think Tony Stewart is more concentrated on his Stewart Racing Experience series. Harvick has had a good year, but he'll probably be in the chase, but he's not. I don't think his odds are great to win this race. I feel like this is the week to roll with the Penske cars. They're all getting great odds, and I feel like this might be the week that the Fords finally break through. So with that being said, I'll give you my picks here. We'll wrap it up. Of course, pending, I have Italy to win at plus 370. I think if I didn't have that, I would probably take Italy to win the trophy at plus 100. Sorry, England. You're like the Toronto Maple Leafs of soccer, in my opinion, but it should be a fun game to watch. So to win the NASCAR race, I'm going to put a third unit each on each one of the Penske drivers. Blaney at 12-1, Keselowski 14-1, and Logano at 16-1. Hopefully one of them will come in and give me a little bit of a boost to my bankroll. And that's going to do it for this week's show. I want to thank you for tuning in. We'll be back with another preview next week. I usually like to go west to east, so we're probably looking at the AFC West next week. But thank you again for spending time with me. Enjoy your weekend in sports. Enjoy this fine weather. And we'll see you again with another episode. I'm going to play the outro music for you. And let's get some winners. Take care, everybody.